Fall is here and I'm so excited. Do you know my favorite thing about fall?
I know. Football.
No, it's not football.
Flannel shirts.
I do like your flannel shirts, but I actually prefer that fall sweater you have.
Which one?
That one.
Whoa, how'd you do that?
What are you drinking?
Pumpkin spice latte. I made it.
When did you learn how to make a pumpkin spice latte? Do you even like to drink those?
No, I made it for you because it's your favorite thing about fall.
Good try. But no, my favorite thing about fall is
State fairs, haunted houses, Thanksgiving.
excellent guesses all, but none of those are my favorite thing about fall.
Well, I give up then.
My favorite thing about fall is leaves, autumn leaves.
Oh, leaves. Well, that makes sense. Is that what this video is about?
It is. In this video, I'm going to share 5 tips for using leaves in your garden.
Oh, well, that sounds pretty good. What should I do?
Maybe there's a football game on. Hi, I'm Amy Landers, and that's my husband Colby. We're gardensthatmatter.com, where we believe your garden is the key to better food, a better life, and a better planet. And I know sometimes leaves might seem like a little bit of a nuisance. You gotta rake them up, bag them up, drag them to the curb. But as gardeners, we see potential in leaves. Gardeners know that leaves are a resource to be celebrated, a crop to be harvested. And in this video, we're gonna talk about 5 best practices for using your leaves in the garden. Number 1, know the difference between mulch, mold, and compost. Leaves can be used in many different ways in your garden, and the big 3 are mulch, leaf mold, and compost. So let's talk a little bit about the differences between them. Mulch is the simplest to imagine. You're using the leaves as a nice blanket on top of your soil. You're applying them around your perennials and your veggie beds. Anywhere where you could use any kind of mulch, leaves make great mulch. I do recommend shredding them up, maybe just running the mower over them, because that's going to let them have water trickle down through them better. If you just lay full leaves on there, you're more likely to have them mat up and it's harder for the water to get through, which defeats the purpose of having that mulch to hold the moisture in your soil. The other thing that can happen is nice big leaves are also more likely to fly away. And so once you've shredded them, they tend to kind of lock together better and stay in your beds. From there, you have leaf mold, and leaf mold is decomposed leaves. So the idea here is you're gathering leaves together and you're letting them decompose. The microbes doing this decomposition in a leaf pile are fungal. There are different kinds of fungi in there, breaking down all the different parts of leaves. Leaves are super carbon rich, and so these fungal bodies get in there and they take some time. It's a cold, slow process. So leaf mold can take up to a year or even 2 years to have nice crumbly leaves. Now, when you have that leaf mold, it is really great soil amendment. It is going to hold water. It's got some nutrients for the plants. It's going to be a great place for all the soil life to live. It's going to add organic matter to your garden. You can use leaf mold mixed in with your soil. You can use it in a potting soil mix. You can use it as mulch. So it's a great material. Now, compost, on the other hand, is a hot process. At least the way we're going to talk about compost in this video. We're going to say leaf mold is cold and slow, and compost is fast and hot. To get it fast and hot, we need to add some nitrogen-rich materials to our carbon-rich leaves. So if we're making compost from our leaves, they are one of the materials, they're one of the ingredients in a compost pile. That nitrogen-rich material might be green waste from your garden, it might be grass clippings, animal manure, food waste from your kitchen. All of those things are going to be nitrogen-rich, and so those things paired with the leaves are going to make a really nice compost. Now, your finished product with compost is also going to be a nice dark crumbly material, but it's going to have more nutrients in it. And so when you use it in your garden, it's going to be a little bit more, going to add a little more fertility than just leaf mold alone. But again, it can be used on the surface, it can be mixed into the soil, it can be used as a potting soil amendment as well. So So that's the basics of the differences between mulch, leaf mold, and compost. And all three of these are going to be great in your garden, but sometimes one of them may be a better use of the leaves that you have. Number 2, find good sources. You could also call this, do you know where your leaves have been? Now, if you have lots of trees where you live around you in your yard, you may not need to bring leaves in from anywhere else. But if you do bring in leaves from other places, you want to think about those sources. And here's a couple things that you want to be aware of. The first one is allelopathic plants. Some plants have allelopathic chemicals, compounds, in their leaves and branches and roots. Things like walnut, eucalyptus, camphor, those have compounds in them that discourage other plants from growing. So it's an advantage for those plants because things don't grow around walnuts. But in your garden, you want to make sure that the materials you're bringing in are not going to discourage plants from growing. So when you are mulching with leaves, you probably want to be cautious about using allelopathic plants. Now, that said, these compounds break down with heat and time. So if you're making leaf mold and it's well aged, or if you're making hot compost, that's going to take care of those allelopathic compounds. You won't have to worry about them. The next thing to be aware of is looking at the yard that you're getting them from, or understanding what has been used on that yard. If there are no dandelions, no clover on the lawn that the leaves have been raked off of, that would be a red flag because that means that there's been herbicide use on that lawn. It's not a deal breaker, but you are going to be cautious about it. The other thing to do is to look at this area where you're going to be getting the leaves and think about, is there a lot of dog waste, dog poop? Is there a lot of trash? Because those things are going to be a pain to have in your leaves as well. If you get dog poop in there, you're going to want to be really careful about composting it and not using it around like leafy greens. It just gets a little more complicated. So ideally, you find a yard where they're not using a lot of chemicals and there's not a lot of dog waste in with the leaves. Now, what do you do if you're not sure? Well, talk to your neighbors. No problem. What kinds of things do you put on your yard? I would love to help you recycle your leaves. I would love to keep these out of the landfill. Most people are going to be open to talking to you about that. And it's a great chance to get to know your neighbors too. From there, if you're worried and you aren't able to discern if it's safe or not, like if they have pesticide, herbicide use on them or not, go ahead and use them for hot compost. Hot compost is going to mitigate most of the risks with any kind of herbicide use for lawns. Number 3, stockpile your leaves. It's fall, bounty, leaf time. Think about some ways to save these leaves up so that you have them throughout the year to use in leaf mold and compost and mulch. So it could be something as simple as a pile. I do recommend putting a cover over it or putting it in the corner of your yard where it's less likely to blow back out into the rest of your yard or down the neighborhood. I really like using wire bins. You can use welded wire or chicken wire. Maybe use a good garden stake if you're using chicken wire because it gets a little floppy. But these wire bins work really well to make leaf mold, or you can put them near your compost bins, and that way you have brown carbon-rich material on hand ready to go when you're layering in other materials into your compost pile. Another way to store your leaves is in plastic bags. If you've gone around collecting from neighbors and they've come to you in plastic bags, it's totally fine to just store the leaves in those bags. One word of warning, make sure the bags are out of the sun. That black plastic, especially the thinner bags, are going to break down pretty quickly in the UV light of the sun. And you don't want that black plastic leaf bags breaking down so that you're going to have to pull black plastic out of the leaves come springtime when you're ready to use them for something. It is a mess. You don't want to do it. Learn from my mistakes. Put those plastic bags underneath something so that they are on the shady side of a building or under some shade, and that'll help make them last until the next season. Number 4, water or not. This one depends on how you plan to use these leaves. If you are using your leaves to make leaf mold or to make compost, you are going to add water. That moisture is important for the decomposition happening, whether it's happening with fungi in your leaf mold or with bacteria and fungi in your compost. That water is going to be important. So you may even turn the piles occasionally and add more water. Now, if you want to stockpile leaves and save them for mulch, In that case, put a cover over them and don't water them, because when you water them, you're speeding up that decomposition, which is all well and good if you want that to happen. But if you want to save them for, say, your potato crop, we love using shredded leaves for our potatoes. If you want to do that, you need to cover them so that the water isn't encouraging speeding up that decomposition. Number 5, play. Last but not least, don't forget to play. What a wonderful season this is, and when is the last time you jumped in a leaf pile? Get your kids together, get the grandkids, get the kids from the neighborhood, make a big leaf pile before you shred them up to use in compost or leaf mold or mulch, and enjoy those leaves. If leaf piles aren't your thing, just go for a nice walk through the crunchy leaves. Enjoy that smell and sounds that come with fall. As a gardener, you're lucky that leaves are no longer a dreaded duty of fall. Instead, they are a gift from above. For more garden goodness, head on over to gardensthatmatter.com, where you can sign up for weekly emails from me. You can sign up for classes. You can browse our blog, where we have some more ideas for you about using leaves. You know the scoop here on YouTube. Subscribe, like, leave me a comment. Tell me what you think, or ask a question about your garden. Until I see you again, happy gardening.